Can everyone hear me? If anyone, if anyone having any issue, just raise the chat.
Yes, we are able to hear you.
Sure, good. And one more request, please mute your audio. Whenever you want to ask the question, you can unmute and then ask. Not an issue, but it will surely conserve your broadband data, and you won't have any interruption in say listening the audio or seeing the screen share. So we'll start in 2 minutes.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me. Any issues?
No issue as such, but then just wanted to know whether you're recording circulating it among us, or you'll give us.
Actually, it's been recorded by the institute, and you can get in touch with them.
Okay, no issues.
Right.
I'm not able to see the video.
Yeah, I have not I have not shared the screen yet. I'm about to.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, guys. So let me just share my screen. So I believe everyone can see my screen right now. If anyone has any issue, just raise in the chat or.
Hi, I'm not able to
Okay, you cannot see the screen.
No, it says that your video is stopped.
Sorry.
It's showing the text that your video is stopped. Like that.
So okay, can you just just disconnect the session and then can you join again using the link?
Oh.
Okay, so Mahabu Bahasha. So you are not able to hear. If you are not able to hear or see the screen, you just disconnect the session and join again using the link which has been sent to you. Okay, great. Ankur, the session is being recorded and it will be, the link will be forwarded to you. Don't worry. Fine, so let's start. So today's webinar is basically, introduction to mobile testing and mobile test automation. What are the challenges? What are the advantages, disadvantages? How you can achieve that? What are the prerequisites and everything? We're gonna walk you through in this session. Fine. So let me just go through the agenda. What will we going to cover in this session? So basically, it's the introduction. What's mobile testing? Challenges of mobile testing. And as the session is focused on Appium, so we'll go through the Appium tool introduction, Appium architecture, and we'll try to show you a small demo using Appium, how you can automate any scenario. So I believe everyone is from testing field, so these 3 or 4 points, it's very trivial one. Okay, so what's basically mobile testing is fine. So whenever you are testing any application or web pages or anything which is meant for mobile devices. So till now, till 5-6 years ago, we are generally testing all these scenarios on our desktop sites. But now we have a majority of mobile devices, and these are the part or parcel of our regular life, daily life. And most of the work which can be done on desktop are now being done on the mobile devices. So basically, each and every company, vendor, organization is trying to port as much functionality as they can onto the mobile devices, so that these can be used widely and can help the regular the common man or as well as the organization. Guys, can you please mute your audio? Madhuri, can you mute your audio? Madhuri, can you listen? Please mute your audio. Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah. So basically, functionality testing, usability testing, consistency, testing for consistency, and other things which you are, till now you have been testing on desktop sites, websites, or desktop applications. The same scenario you have to use, you have to test on mobile devices as well. But besides that, what are the different things that we test on mobiles? While what are the different things that we take care of while testing on mobile? So in desktop we have a single browser or multiple browser, you can say, but at a time, say take an example of single browser in which you're testing an application or a website. So what happens, you don't have the constraint of memory management or uh, multitasking. Everything is being taken care of the desktop operating system. But in case of mobile, when you're seeing the application on your mobile, it has some constraints. Although it supports multitasking, but not till the extent which desktop is supported. Fine, desktop can support a vast amount of multitasking, but in case of mobile, you have to have a limited amount of multitasking. But because after that, the application will be killed by operating system, whatever operating system you are using. Plus you have a small screen. If you compare it to desktop, you have a smaller screen. Plus at a time only one application can be at the front, all the applications are in background. Fine. So all these scenarios you have to take care of. So take another example. When you're testing your application or you're using your application and some call comes, you have to take the call, or some message come, or you switch your application, you go to some other application then come back. So these kind of scenario, these generally don't happen in even if you switch your application, the application which you are testing is generally preserved. But in case of mobile devices, there is certain limit on how much memory it can reserve for that application. Madhuri, Ashok, can you mute your audio?
Can you guys please?
Okay, fine. Yeah, so apart from the manual testing, apart from the different scenarios, uh, the need of the R is generally, automate the testing, because in the current scenario we have a very frequent releases cycle, in which your company or your organization or whatever you are working with, they generally keep refreshing the build file. So in every, say, 7 days or 10 days or 15 days, there is another release. So we have the regression test which we have to run. It takes generally a large amount of your manual testing time, right? And you have to repeat it again and again. So say there's the chance of missing some obvious scenarios or everything. It keeps increasing, because we generally don't have the time to uh, perform all the regression testing. Sometimes we have only 2-3 hours to test and send it to the production. So those scenarios, I mean, why automation is needed? Right? So at least automating those test cases which you are running on your regression on a daily basis or weekly basis, or every fortnight. So these things you can automate it, and it's a really it's the need of the hour, right? Because there are many requirements in current companies as well as something, because they're not even uh, not many you can say experts who can convert these manual scripts into automation one, right? And that's why the companies are sometimes they're too buggy, sometimes their release crash, sometimes it crashes on another device. So these things keep coming, fine. So while you test any application, any scenarios, it can be, you all know, it can be manually or automated testing. So these things, basically it's a extension of whatever you are doing till now on desktop. So you generally test for functionality, usability, consistency, manual automation. So all those things, if you port it to mobile devices, it just comprises the mobile testing part. Fine. So some of the points I already discussed. What are the basic challenges that we face if you are targeting the mobile devices? So currently, as you all know, there are multiple operating systems.
இந்த பேக் வந்து அம்மா கிட்ட வந்து சொல்லியிருந்தேன், அதை ஒய்ஃப் எடுத்துட்டு அவங்க ரிலேட்டிவ்ல சொல்லி கம்பெனி குழந்தைய வந்து தண்ணி யாரும் பார்க்கல. குழந்தைய கிணத்துல தண்ணி கொண்டுட்டேன் அப்படிங்கிற நேரத்தில் அவங்க அம்மாட்ட சொல்லி ஒய்ஃப் கேட்டுட்டாங்க. தட் இஸ் கால்ட் ஓரல் எவிடன்ஸ். அதே மாதிரி குழந்தை அதுவா விளையாடுறதுன்னு சொல்லி போய் கேணியில விழுந்திருக்கலாம். நேர்ல பார்த்து சாட்சியாக ஐ எவிடன்ஸ் இல்லை. இல்ல அவன் உறுதியே பண்ற மாதிரி ஆயிடுச்சு. ட்ரையல் என்ன வரல, ஆயுதாதான் போயிருக்கு. ஒரு கேஸ் நீ முடிக்கவே எப்படி பார்த்தாலும் 6 வருஷம் வேண்டாம். ஒரு 4-5 வருஷம்.
Guys, please mute your audio.
அது வந்து செக்ஷன் பாட்டு
Guys, whoever is having the username Lenovo, can you please mute your audio?
It's 188 single drive. Button போடுறது சின்ன டூ பட்டன் போடுறது சின்ன டூ 420 479 வித்தியாசமா இருக்கு.
Guys, please mute your audio and please stop the video so that you can hear me well.
பாஸ்வேர்டு என்னடா பள்ளி
இதுடா அதான்
Mute your phone, mute your microphone.
என்னடா சாரி புரியுது கேட்டது. வைஃபை பாஸ்வேர்டுடா. ஆளுங்க போறா.
Okay, guys. So yeah, the challenges of mobile testing. Currently, like I was saying, that there are multiple operating systems. You have Android, you have iOS, you have Windows, you have BlackBerry OS, or sometime Firefox OS or Tizen and everything. But in the current scenario, the major ones are Android and iOS, because you can you might have heard that Microsoft is exiting the mobile business. So the future of Windows Mobile is quite unsure right now. And right now we are also in Appium. We are also targeting only Android as well as iOS system, because these are the top two in terms of user base. If you talk about plenty of devices, so right now in iOS we have different devices which support iOS. Although the devices are all from Apple, but right now we have iPhone 4s, 5, 5s, then 6 and 6s and 6s plus iPads of different sizes. So the main difference being some devices are on older operating system, like uh, if you talk about iPhone 4, so it's currently on iOS 7 or iOS 8 maybe. So, but iOS 9 support has not been given on those lower devices. But in case of user base, say many companies or organizations have their users on older devices as well. So you need to support till some time for those users. So that creates a different problem for developer as well as for testers. Uh, in case of Android, the situation is much more complex. So because we have different OS versions, say if you start from 2.3, then we have 4.0, that is ICS, then 4.123 Jelly Beans, then we have 4.4 KitKat, and then came Lollipop and Marshmallow, and now Android N. So and fragmentation is very much much prominent in Android uh, compared to iOS. In Android, we have different vendors. As it's an open source, the vendors are free to exercise their creativity, and generally they create their own UI, and that creates much more problem. So plenty of devices is a very big problem in terms of mobile testing, because you have to have a cover of at least the major devices in which your application is going to support, or the operating system which your users are using. Right? This third one, different scenario than desktop apps. It's already been said that while using desktop, you don't generally care about the memory management or the network scenarios, or switching between applications. But these things have to be taken care of while you're using your mobile application, while you're testing your mobile application. Deepu, is it clear? I believe it's a problem. I believe it's a problem with the.
That's why we are not able to get the point. So can you like little tempo down your voice and conversation?
Okay.
So
Okay, fine.
thank you.
Yeah, so try to talk a little slow. Uh, So, like I was saying that we have multiple devices, multiple operating systems, and these generally create a problem while you are developing your application or while you are delivering your application, testing your application. Uh, in terms of fast-paced environment, generally the companies which which, sorry guys, can you mute? Guys, can you mute? Okay, I believe everyone is able to hear me. So in terms of fast-paced environment, generally the company has a frequent release cycles in which they try to release with bug fixes or with new features every 7 days or 10 days or 15 days, and it generally makes a huge problem in terms of testing, because you need to keep testing, keep regression bugs free for your application. Right. Unavailability of a testing specialist as the mobile arena is a newer one in comparison with desktop. It's only the term mobile testing was mainly it came uh, almost 6 years ago. So comparison to it, if you compare it to desktop testing or general the web testing, it's a newer area. Some restrictions are there in terms of technology, in terms of a specialist, uh, and if you talk about the automation, it's generally very slow. Fine, the adoption of automation in mobile testing area is very slow. The reason being, again, we have the lack of testing specialist who can automate the scenario. We generally have the desktop automation in place, and that's a kind of mature area. But right now, in case of mobile, it's going too slow. Fine. So the need of the market is having testing a specialist who can automate the scenarios, and why Appium we'll see in a few moments. Before that, yeah, before that, if you're going to testing mobile applications, you need to know what emulators and simulators are, right? Because many a times you don't test on real devices, you generally test on emulators and simulators, right? So the basic difference being in emulators and simulators are, the emulator is you can say it's much more than 95% replica of your original Android devices, right? Whatever architecture is underlying in your Android phone, the emulator tries to emulate or copy those properties on your desktop PC or Mac, whatever you are working on. In terms of simulator, iOS generally provides simulator. It's generally only the software UI of your phone, but it doesn't have all the capability which your iPhone have. Right? So you cannot simulate the call or message or notification and everything. But in case of emulator, you can you can copy the calling scenario, messaging, GPS and navigation and everything. And emulators are generally heavier than simulator. It takes much more time to load emulators. So some of you might have heard about emulator simulator, or some of you have might have worked on it. But we'll show you later in this session how it looks or how it works. So generally, Android SDK or Android, which is the parent is Google, it provides emulator. Which, if you are using emulator, then you can be sure that the functionality which you are using or the functionality which you are trying to emulate or test, it's almost as near to your real devices. But in case of iOS simulator, it generally happens that whatever you are going to see or test on simulators, generally some of these might break on your real iPhones or iPads. So let's just start. How you can get the emulators and get the simulators. So we'll start with Android emulators. Let me go to what do you need for that? You need, first of all, Android SDK should be installed on that, and it's a part of Android Studio. Fine, so you can search for Android Studio and install it, and then you will be able to install your or start your emulators. Fine. So let me just start Android Studio, how it looks. Apart from the default emulators which are being provided by Android Studio, we also have some, different emulators provided by different third-party sources. So we have one of these are Genymotion. We have Xamarin. We have another one called BlueStacks. Yeah, sure. I'm going to. So this is how your default Android Studio will look like, and here you can see there is a symbol called AVD Manager. So it's basically Android Virtual Device Manager. Fine. So it's as the name suggests, it's virtual device. Fine. It's not a physical device, and I have configured over there. So once you will install it, fine, you can easily create your virtual device. Once you open this virtual device manager, there is an option for creating virtual device, and you can choose whatever device you want. Fine. So if I want Nexus 5X, so it's been selected, or you can choose Nexus 6, and the size and everything will be displayed over here. And just next, and you can finish, and it will be created over here. So it will look like this. Fine. So once you start it, in terms of Genymotion, again, let me just. It's a third-party tool. You can go to genymotion.com and create your own account and download this particular tool. Fine. So once you download it and install it, it will look something like this. So I have already downloaded and installed it with my user ID. The user ID, I mean, the sign up process is free of cost. Guys, please mute audio. Khushbu. Khushbu, can you please mute your audio? Everyone, please mute your audio. Okay, guys, those who can listen me, please mute your audio. So now Genymotion is the interface will look like something this. You can add your devices. Say I want to add a new device. Fine. Once you have downloaded it, once you have installed it, and once you have signed it, so it will show you the the number of operating systems as well as the number of devices. Fine. So Android version, say I want Android version 5.0.0. So it will show me the available devices which are available to download. So we have Galaxy S6, Nexus 7, 6, 5, 4, or custom tablet, or Nexus 10, etc. So you can just you can just pick it. Fine. And if you click next, it will start installing. So after installation, the devices which you have downloaded will appear over here. Fine. So let's say I want to start Nexus 5. So I just have to select it and just have to start it. So it will try to create a virtual device for Google Nexus 5 for Android system on my Mac machine. So as you can see, all the information which are appearing over here. So it says Google Nexus 5, operating system 5.1.0, and resolution is 1080 by 1920 or 80 dpi. The IP address on which it's going to be started. And the main thing, as you can see, I can resize the size of the emulator, and it will look almost like your device. Fine. So as you can see, your Nexus 5, if you are having it, it might look like this. So you have the general app drawer, you have your backend, every key, and you have call button in which if I place the call, say I'm trying to call on 123. So it's basically emulating how your device. It's not an actual call, but it's underlying architecture and underlying processes are the same, like you are making a call on your actual device. Fine. Similar with the case of contacts or your SMS messaging or something. Fine. So you can simulate the scenario where you are sending a message. Shivangi, if you can hear me, can you just mute the audio for all the participants? Okay. Yeah. So this was the example of Genymotion. You can see, you have the Genymotion emulator. So some of you might be having it, or you can try to install it. Yeah. Okay, guys. So this was the Genymotion emulator. You can try and install on your machine and see how it works and how. The main thing is, if you are having a APK file for your application, you can just drag and drop on this emulator and will get installed. We'll show you how you can do that. Yeah. So in terms of iOS simulators, if you are having a Mac machine, fine, then only you will able to have this iPhone simulator, because it's currently it's a restriction from Apple's side that you cannot run the Xcode which is required for developing the iOS application. You cannot have it on other platforms, say Windows. So you have to have a Mac machine for having this iOS simulators. So as you can see, there is no call button or everything. It's just software UI for testing your application. Fine. It doesn't have much functionality other than your application, which is generally the developers do. It also has the combination of different operating system and different devices. Say if you want iOS 8.4, you can choose the available iOS 8.4 devices. If you want iOS 9.3, you can choose among these devices. Yeah, so Surabhi, your question is what's the difference between emulator and simulator? And before that, Rucha asked that Genymotion can be used only for Android devices. So yeah, Rucha can. It's currently supporting only Android devices. So yes, you can only use it for Android testing. The difference between emulator and simulator, like Surabhi is asking. So basically, as you can see, the main difference being the underlying architecture. Fine. So if you talk about the underlying architecture which emulator has, it almost copies each and every functionality uh, of your actual device. Fine. But in terms of simulator, it doesn't copy it. It just provides a software UI for your application to test. Fine. Emulator is very uh, near to your original device. Fine. You can say it's more than 95-96% replica of your devices. It also takes much more space while you install it, because it's trying, say I'm using the Google Nexus 5 emulator, and it's trying to emulate the internal architecture for that. Right. If you have any more queries regarding emulator simulator, we'll try to get it covered in another session, or I can send you the links via that. Just you can, for the time being, you can you can, if I talk about the emulator, it's much more near to the real device. If you talk about simulator, it's not as real as the emulator is. So now you come to automation framework. So you have worked about iOS and you have talked about, or you have heard about iOS and Android different automation framework which are available right now. Some of them are, you might have heard about Calabash iOS or Frank or UI automation or iOS driver, keep it functional. Similar with Android, we have Calabash, we have Monkey Talk, Robotium, UI Automator, Selendroid. What the major difference is, or what the major issue is, fine. You cannot use one framework with other in most of the cases. Say if you are talking about Robotium, currently it supports only Android and not iOS. If you talk about Frank, currently it supports only iOS and not an Android. Even if the platform is supporting both, fine, you have to make changes in your application, fine, by integrating Sorry guys, I had some internet issues, so it was disconnected. So everyone can see my screen, I believe. Okay. Yeah, so the main philosophy of Appium is fine. You don't have to recompile your application while or modify it. So some if you have worked on any kind of automation before on mobile, you might be knowing that generally you have to integrate the library of the particular automation framework which you are using. Say if you are using Robotium, so you have to have the source code of your application, or you have to have APK which you unsign it, then again sign it with the Robotium libraries, and then you have to start it. So it says Appium says that why to make changes in your application, right? Because it will not be the same which you are going to send it to customers, right? So do not make any changes while you are testing your application, right? You should test it unmodified. Second one is you shouldn't be locked into a specific language or framework, right? So if you know what it says, if you know Java, you should be fine to start your automation. If you know C, C sharp, Ruby, Python, Perl, any language. So you shouldn't be constrained to only Java or only C or something. So whatever language you can start writing script, and Appium will do the rest for you. Right. Again, the third one is very obvious. It says that mobile automation framework shouldn't reinvent the wheel. It means whatever is already available, right, you should use it rather than inventing a new methodology, a new framework, or new scripting language to your mobile automation. And in this case, knowing that Appium uses Selenium WebDriver 2 APIs. Right? So Selenium is already a widely accepted. You can say it's a widely accepted framework in terms of automation, web automation, and they are using all the APIs which are available in Selenium WebDriver 2, and they are extending it to mobile devices platform. The fourth one is mobile automation framework should be open source. Appium says that everyone and anyone who wants to use Appium or who wants to use mobile automation shouldn't be spend any money. Right? They can start as and when they want. So it should be open source. The community should be vast. The support should be vast, and the mobile automation framework should be open source. So now, if you come to Appium tool, so basically it says the Appium tool is basically an open source tool for automating native mobile web and hybrid application on iOS and Android platform. You might be familiar with the native hybrid and mobile web applications. So what exactly native is, right, and hybrid is, and mobile web is. So let's first talk about mobile. So the website which you test on the general desktop, sometimes they are mean for, if you are going to implement those websites on mobile devices, fine. So basically that's nothing but the mobile website, the general desktop site mean for mobile devices. The native one are those which are meant for which are coded using Java platform, Java technology or Java language, whatever you can say, or Objective C, respectively for Java language. For iOS, they use the Objective C. So, say many of the games which you run on your device, they generally are native. Fine. They generally do not have any web component in that. But if you are talking about hybrid one, they generally have one or two modules which contain web elements. Fine. So they have HTML5 or CSS or JavaScript, which are embedded into mobile native framework. So in those cases, we have three types of mobile applications. One are native, one is native, second is hybrid, and third one is mobile web. So talking about Appium design, what exactly Appium use? So if you're going to use Appium, you should know at least some of the internal parts of use Appium. So in case of iOS, if you know about UI automation, it's basically provided by Apple. Essentially a part of export SDK. So it's a part of Apple's SDK. Similar with Google, and for Android platform 4.2 and above, it's UI Automator, which is a part of Google Android SDK. And in terms of 2.3 plus, it's instrumentation. So UI Automator instrumentation is being used internally for converting the test cases to execute the scenarios on.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rishabh, your voice is breaking. So can you please improve it? We are not able to listen you properly.
Okay. Let me just check the connection. Okay, we'll try to speak a little bit slow.
Actually, it's the thing is, it's cracking. It's distorting. Half of part we are able to hear, and the rest of the part disappear in the air.
Okay. So let me just start it again, so that if any distortion is there, you can get back to me again.
Please from the last slide, because half of the part are missing for the EQ. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So I was telling that internally, what Appium uses, it uses iOS UI automation, or for automating the testing scenario on iOS devices. UI automation is provided by Xcode, which is, obviously it's Apple's part. For Android, it's UI automator and instrumentation. So Android 4.2 and above, it uses UI automator, and Android 2.3 uses instrumentation. So these are also part of Google Android SDK. So internally, it's not doing any new thing. It generally uses the things which are already available. Fine. So in case of iOS, it's automation. In case of Android, it's UI automator. So you can search about UI automation and UI automator more. If you have any queries regarding this, you can get back to me. How Appium works basically. So these are the 5 points. It has client server architecture, session, desired capabilities, Appium server, Appium client. So these 5 things you will be able to understand while I'm giving the demo. So for now, just remember these. Appium works in terms of client and server architecture. literally it says that there is a client, there is a server, you send your request.
Hi, Rishabh. Rishabh, we are unable to see your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, you should.
It's fine now.
Yeah, it's fine. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this part we so I was talking about the Appium concept, in which you have Appium has the client and server architecture. So basically, it says that there's a client and there's a server. The client says request to the server. It gets executed on the server via whichever devices you are targeting, and the request the response comes back to client. So we'll see this thing in when we're you are seeing the demo. Again, every automation script which is being executed is defined in terms of session. Right? So a session is started, and then everything you do is generally recorded in terms of a session. Then we have the desired capabilities. Right? So these desired capabilities, what are these? We'll see it, but for now you can assume that these are the things which are required to start any session. Right? So say you want Android device with OS version 5.0 with orientation as portrait mode and other things, which are some device name maybe Nexus 5 and everything. So these are the what are the things that are desired before you start your automation. So these are called desired capabilities. You can see it more. And the extension of this is we have a Appium server which is running on your machine, fine, and we have Appium clients. So Appium clients are basically the languages which you're targeting, fine. So if you are using Java, you may be using Appium Java clients, fine. If you are using C# or Ruby or Perl Python, you will use the Ruby clients or Perl client or Python clients. So continuation to the previous this screen, we have how it actually works in terms of architecture. So Appium is Appium server is the heart of this architecture. You have the script in which you write your automation automation test cases. So it may be Java, it may be C, or it may be C#. You send those scripts to Appium server, fine. And internally the Appium server is using UI Automator in case of Android, or UI automation in case of iOS. Now we have different devices which are connected to this Appium server, right? We have already defined that okay, these are the devices which are connected to Appium server, and once you send this request to this Appium server, internally recognizes that okay, which language it is and how to interpret it and how to send it to the device. And once you send it to the device, it will get executed on this device and it will come back to this Appium server. Now Appium server again recognize this response and it will send it to the user readable response to your script. Right. Similar in case of iOS also. Right. All the things are same. Internally, it uses instrumentation. Right. In UI automation basically. So in Android, we are using UI Automator Viewer, but in case of iOS, we are using instrumentation, which are part of Apple's SDK. Similar thing is there. So now let's start with a demo. And for that, I have to disable my sharing screen for a few moments, and I will reconnect it again. So till then, any questions, guys, regarding the things which we have gone through that? You can just chat me. And regarding the prerequisite, what you need in terms of automation, I mean, starting with Android or iOS automation, the basic thing is you have to have knowledge about the basic OOPS concept or any basic language. Like if you know Java, it's fine. If you know C Sharp or no, JavaScript not needed. So and Mohit is asking how much Selenium knowledge is required for Appium. See, if you know Selenium, it's good, fine, because I mean, eventually it's Selenium methods which Appium uses, fine. But even if you don't know Selenium, it won't be a constraint for using this Appium, right? You can start using Appium without knowing Selenium, fine. If you have knowledge, it's good, but if you don't know, it's not an issue for that, because eventually you will get to those methods. And like I said earlier, that Appium is using Selenium WebDriver 2. So Selenium WebDriver 2 is
கட்டு சானியர் கூட நீங்க படம் பாருங்க ஆப்பியம் வா இந்த வீடியோ ஆஃப் பண்ணிட்டேன் எவ்வளோ ஒரு ஏசியை வீட்டில் வச்சுக்கிட்டு என்ன லேப்டாப்ல மூஞ்சி மாதிரியா காமிச்சுட்டே வந்து
so guys, for this purpose, let me just share my screen again. So for the demo purpose, I have an application called OK. So let me just show you how it looks. Yeah. So I have an APK for that, and as I was telling before, that if you have an APK, that is basically Android package file. That APK is nothing but the Android application. And in terms of if you talk about the iOS, it's generally IPA file, IPA or .app file, which are used in iOS. Whatever you install on Android emulator or Android device, it's basically in the form of APK. Okay? And the good thing with if you're using Geneocean is that you can just drag and drop the APK file and it will get installed over there. So once it get installed, you will be able to see this application over here. So Mohit is asking that, okay, does Appium, sorry, Naresh is asking that, does Appium automate Windows platform? Not as of now, fine. It's only currently on your iOS as well as Android platform, but not for Windows. Okay, Selenium is for web application and Appium is for mobile research. Yeah, fine, you're right, Mohit. And you can say that Appium is nothing but the extension of Selenium. Regarding Selendroid, basically it's used for Android version 4.2 and below, 4.1 or below, basically. Fine. So this is FortKicks application. It's find it on Play Store. You can even download the API. I'm not sure why the Wi-Fi is. Extension of Selenium Web 2 APIs. Right. So Appium is internally using Selenium WebDriver 2 APIs, which are meant for mobile devices. So they're asking that what test frameworks are supported by Appium. See, framework Appium itself is a framework, right? And you can extend this framework by by combining with another tool. Say if you want a end-to-end testing framework, right? You can use JUnit, TestNG, or some Jenkins server, so that you have a combined testing framework for your organization. In terms of Appium, it itself automation framework, which I believe it answers your question, Sujit. Okay, great. So this is the application, which it's a kind of ESPN type of application where you can, if you skip this part, login or sign up part, it will take you to the welcome page. You tap okay, got it, and see the different news and sports and videos and live about the different sports. Even you have the left panel in which you can get the news and other things about different sports on whatever you click. So we'll try to automate some basic scenario in this, and let me just show you what Appium server I was talking about. So once you install Appium server on your machine, it will look something like this, right? So it has the different buttons. You can see it's Android, it's iOS. Then we have setting buttons and launch and everything. So once you click, it currently, as you can see, it currently supports only Android and iOS. Fine. So once you click on Android, you have the different settings available over here. So you can define which application you are going to test. For this, in this case, I am going to test. This is basically SportKicks release APK. The application name is this. Right. And once you click the application name, it will also prompt you for the package. Package is nothing. It's just a unique name for your application. Right. So once you search your application on Google Play Store or something, so it generally to avoid the namespace conflict, they generally use the domain name in reverse order. So the name was sportkicks.com. So developer chose it to com.sportkicks. Right. So I mean different arguments which are available over here, which you can select. Once you start using it, you will get to know about this. Similar with the case of iOS. Once you have selected any app and you can start, so you can see that all those capabilities which are available over here, and this is what the capability means. What app path you need, what package you need, what activity you need. Regarding activity, whatever screen you see on your mobile device, it's an activity. So this is screen which we are currently seeing. It's an example of activity. You use your mobile phone screen. Again, this is another activity. Fine. If you open this is another activity. So whatever you see on your mobile device, in case of Android, it's an activity. Fine. Yeah. So this is how Appium server will look like. And once you launch this, before starting the execution of your script, you have to launch the server so that it will start launching. And now you can see once it will start. Yeah.
Can we automate system applications like calling to some person or texting?
Sorry.
Can we automate a system applications like dialing or texting, or we can
Yes. Yeah. We have commands which using which you can simulate this actions.
Okay.
And also you can invoke these other applications as well. If you know the app package of this application, if you know the app package, you can directly open this this activity. You can dial something and you can receive messages and everything. But you need to know the application package. Say in case of sport kits, it was like com.sport kits. Similar if you're talking about the context application. So if you know the app package, you can directly open the activity from there, and you can perform actions. Even for the back button, for home button, for these keys, there are certain constants which are available, and you can send it via programmatically, or via opening the application and then clicking on call button and everything.
Okay. How do we get the packages?
So like I have shown you here, if you once you select this let me just stop the server. Once you select your application, fine, I have selected sport kits release, so it automatically detects the package name, because in case of Android there is a manifest file. You might have heard about it, and if you know, there is a manifest file in which it's a kind of, say you're sending some gift to some person or some package to some person, so there's a necessary information written above the package, fine, above your gift. Okay, this is from this person to this person, and this contains this. So similar to that, in Android application, once you're sending to App Store or Play Store, it generally contains some basic information, fine, like the app package. So app package is the main one. So it is found in the manifest file. There is a file called manifest which is available for all to see. So anyone can see your manifest file, and they can get an idea of the basic information about your application, which organization it belongs to, which package it has, what are the name and other things, what platform it supports. So these kind of things that can be read via manifest file. So from there you can get the knowledge about package file. And in Appium they have provided, they have integrated this functionality. So once you just choose your application app path via app path, and it will automatically start showing the packages, different packages which is available. Got it?
Thanks, Rishabh. Thanks.
Okay. So as you can see, the different we talked about the different let me just go back to your. We have client server architecture. So you see, this is what how Appium server will look like, fine, and this is the target device, fine. So now Appium server is running, and now I'm using Eclipse and using Eclipse I'm using I have created a Java test scenario in Java, and it will basically target this Android emulator, right? So now you can understand how this Appium client server architecture works, right? In terms of desired capabilities, what are these? So you can see once the server starts, it says address is this, platform name is Android, platform version is 5.0, automation name is Appium, app is this, app package, and everything, right? So it generally comes under the desired capabilities. So we'll walk you through the code also. Okay, so Mohit is asking that what test framework is supported by Appium? Any Emulators support? Again, he's asking how to write Appium test cases. Can we run Selenium test cases by Appium? So you have to make certain changes if you're going to write Selenium test cases, right? List out the prerequisite to use Appium. Fine, we'll do that. Okay. So it will take maybe 12:30. We can finish by 12:30. Fine. So let me just. If we hadn't had those interrupts, and we might have finished earlier. Anyways, so guys, it's an Appium demo project which I have created. Fine. And inside that there's a package that is pom.test.demo Appium. I have already created it. So now once once you create a new class, so you just on the package you just try new and then class, and in class you give the name. So right now I have given the name demo test, and in the if you know the basic Java programming, you know this inside this class we write a public static void in method, and inside the main method there is a desired capability. Fine. So these are the capabilities which are needed before we start using this test execution file. So we have created, this is basically a class inside Appium library. Fine. So using this class, you create a new object. So object of desired capability, and inside you give the getters and setters. You might have you might know of these things, getters and setters. We generally set those properties. Fine. So app package, we have set it as com.sportkicks. App path, we have set it as this one. Platform name, we have set it as this. Capability, app activity. So like I said, activity is whatever screen you want. Fine. Okay, Ramanathan, I will get back to you on this idea. Yeah. So okay, yeah. So app activity, as I already told you, it's basically any screen which you want to open. So fine. So we have set these capabilities, right? And this is what this desired capability means. The set of properties which you want before starting your execution of automation. Right? Now we have device name as this. How you can get the device name? Again, I will show you a different. We have a ADB command. Some of you might know this ADB. This is basically Android debug bridge, and it's a part of your standard Android SDK. So once you type Android, ADB devices, it will list all the devices which are attached currently. So currently I'm having this emulator running on this Mac machine, and its name is like this: 192.168.57.101 colon 5555. Because it's an emulator, its name comes like this. If you attach your phone, will the name will be different, like Nexus 5 or Nexus 6P or something, and it will be also different. But right now it's emulator. As you can also see, this this name, which is this is basically the IP address on which it's appearing, and it's taking the IP address as its name. So fine, we can use this as the property name. Let me also save some memory on my system by quitting this simulators. Yeah, it's IP address on which the port on which it's connected. Right. So currently my IP address is this one, and on this 5544 port it's connected. Yeah, cool. So now we have our basic setup. If some of guys has worked with Selenium, you know that this method, it's not advisable to use thread.sleep, right? Because it will make the whole thread to sleep for 15 seconds. Right? But in case of demo, I can use it. Generally, you have to use wet. Right? We have wet, explicit wet. We have implicit wet. Generally, thread.sleep is not advisable to use because it hangs the whole thread. Now, if you know about the finding elements, you you can find it. How you can find the elements will show you just now. But let me just start this step. This app path, I believe it's somewhat changed. Just go to this. This is my correct app path, which I'm going to use right now. So let me just change it to this. And hopefully our script should run, because at demo time generally it happens that script doesn't run. Anyway, we'll try to run it. And before that, you have to make the server, you have to launch the server, clear the logs. Now I get the status 200. So it says that it's running. And let me just run this script as Java application. Although we can use the JUnit or NUnit is basically for unit testing. Someone is asking about unit testing. So if anyone can so this is the Appium server and this is the client on which you can see that this is already this has already been started, and there has to be a session over there. Yeah. So right now it will wait for 15 seconds. Now it goes to this screen. It will tap on OK, got it. Now it will change tabs. So now we got an exception. Why so? Locator strategy name is not supported for this session. Fine. So whatever we have mentioned over here, one of the cases kind of failing. Fine. So one of you might have asked about how you can get to know about the elements, how you can detect element, or while using this thing, some of you might have the query about how I get that point, or how I get this XPath and something. So Appium inspector, it's called Appium inspector. Whenever you are running your application, you can just start it. Let me just close it and start it again. So this is the Appium inspector. Clicking on which it will start the inspector for you, and where irrespective of Android application or iOS application, it will capture the screen from your device, and you can from there you can detect different elements. So say if I click on sports, it will just take me to the XPath of that, or different you can see information or different properties about the sports label, right? So you can see that it's a widget type of, text view type of element. Its ID is this one, com.sportkicks ID text. Right. XPath is generally this one. So generally using ID or name or XPath or anything, you can if you have worked on Selenium, you generally know that you need to have a element locator strategy. So these are the different strategies. Right? So if you type say on video on this, so clicking on this generally changes the XPath and everything, and using this you can detect which element you want to tap or click or anything. So it says for the current scenario, it says that okay, locator strategy name is not supported, and on which here on which I have clicked driver.find element by name, it says that it's not supported in this session. So there might be some problem with this strategy. And that's why it's not able to click. Let me just comment for the moment. Also, if I mean, some of you might be newer to this Appium session, so there you can see it's record button, right? So it also plays at, it also acts as a record and play functionality in this Appium session. So once I tap on record, right, it will start recording me, and it will get you will get all the scripts which you have recorded over here. You can find it if you are a new guy with the Appium or something. You can start using this record and play functionality. Although it's not advisable because you will not be able to learn so much in record and play, but still for starters it's a good one. So let's see. Let's say you are on. Okay, fine. So currently I'm not able to do it because it's already been uninstalled from my system, and that's why it's not able to start it. So regarding the session, what I was talking about. So So whenever you start any script, right, there is a session created, right? And in terms of session, you do everything. So that's what this session. Let me show you again how this works. So now we have started the Appium server. I will just clear the logs. I will start script again. So it all automatically installs your application over there, and it will try to create. Now you can see this session, 379 dot something or something. Right? So now this is the session which has been created, right? And in terms of this session, you can get every information. Right? So these are the important aspects of your applications. So currently it has clicked on skip. Now it will click on okay, got it. And let's see if it's able to execute this script or not. So now you can see that it's clicked on videos, and now and as I have mentioned that it will print the tab name on which it has clicked. So the you can see the system.out.println, the tab click is tab name, and the tab name I have get in this script. So it's a get text. So those who are familiar with Selenium, they can understand it. Those who are not, you can you can try starting try starting Appium. You can see how you can go ahead. All those scripts and everything, it's available on appium.io. It's not something new which I'm creating over here. You can find element by ID or by XPath, or find element by name or everything. It's you can search it for Google. It's already available there. All the methods. Even if you try some Selenium script, it will. Sorry. Yeah, so Ramanatham, for Android 4.2 and below, as I have mentioned, you have to use. I mean, instead of Selenium, you have to. Sorry, instead of Appium, you need to use Selendroid. So let me show you where you can do that over here. So you see, at automation name is as Appium. Here also automation name is Selendroid. So if you are targeting platform version which are less than 4.2, so you need to use this Selendroid. automation method. Got it? Okay, cool. Yeah, so that was a little demo, although we had some more time. If we had some more time, we could go with iOS also. But similar with that, fine. With the platform name, you have Android. You slightly change it to iOS. And in terms of app package and app path, you generally give the app path in iOS, not this app package. Fine. So this was it regarding the demo. I showed you a little demo in which you can detect it. You can even record and play. So Appium has these all capabilities. So once you start using it, you will get to know all these things. In the first session, it's a little bit difficult to get all those things, but I'm sure with practice and with some knowledge and some practice, we'll surely be able to execute all these things. Not an issue for that. So for this, any queries? No, it's not basically creating a browser. Right? Mohit is asking that with the help of Appium, we are just creating a copy of browser, and from the Appium perspective, we'll find element locator and we'll create a test cases and then run the test cases on emulator. So apart from creating a copy of browser, this particular statement, all the things are right. It's not a copy of browser. It's basically your actual application. And as Android SDK provides a method to locate the elements, right? So it's not a browser, because if you try creating, if you try your usual locator strategy which you use in case of browser, it will fail basically. Right? Finding element using UI Automator Viewer and instrumentation is the major part here. All the things are right. Can we customize locators here? So yes, you can. Right. So depending on your strategy or depending on your requirements, you can certainly use it. Even you can use the different loops for, say, currently it's case of text path. You can see that it's like Android widget frame layout 3, Android widget text widget 1. So say if you are having 5 text views, fine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So rather than executing this line 5 times, you can use a for loop, and you can use a variable, say I, and the iteration will go from 0 to 4, so that all the 5 elements are covered, or 1 to 5. Similar with the case of if you're using by XPath or by name or by ID. So depending on the scenario, depending on the situation or the script, you can certainly customize your locator strategy. JavaScript, basically you don't need JavaScript, Surabhi. Right? Java, if you I request you to start with Selenium and Java, nothing else. Right? Because if you know Selenium, you will know Appium, right? Because both are almost the same. And if you know Java, as this is a very popular language, you can say, and it has a very vast community. Plus, the problem you will face will be supported by a vast community. So I expect everyone to follow the Java. Even it's not a constant. If you know C, C#, you can surely go forward. Okay, any other thing? So similar, I had written some iOS demo class also. Demo app also. In all the things you can see, it's a similar one. Fine. The set capability, I have used this as app file. Platform name is iOS, and device name was this. Fine. Nothing else. And even you can, for mobile browsers also, you can use this Appium to automate your mobile browsers. So yes, in this case, if Mohit or Mohit has asked that for browser locator strategies regarding the browser. So for mobile web case, yes, you can say that this is doing what you're saying. But in case of iOS and Android, it's basically not the copy of browser. It's basically detecting the actual element using actual locator strategies of Android and iOS. Fine. So the person asked that I missed starting the session. Can you please let me know what is plugin to be added in Eclipse for Appium? There are some libraries, fine, so which are needed to be added. Plus, so what are those libraries? Just let me go through you that. So in Google, you just type Selenium WebDriver, and you go to this page. On the download section, you have the different downloads. So one is Selenium standalone server, fine, and the second one is Java client. I mean the client. So if you are using Java, you can download this. If you are using C#, Ruby, Python, you can download the respective client. These are the only libraries which are required apart from some Appium library. So once you have the Appium one, you will certainly get it. So yeah, that's the libraries which are required. In case of plugin, not much plugin is required. Some libraries are required, and once you know how to include the library in your project. So once you include those libraries, it will appear over here in your build path. Okay. What is the basic requirement for Appium? I didn't get this question. Apart from Selenium web apps, anything need to be added? Regarding Mohit's question, what is the basic requirement for Appium, like emulator? So emulator is not required for Appium. Fine, you can use your real devices also. Appium is another. I mean, it's a package. If you go to Appium site, it's appium.io. Here you can download the Appium, whether you are on Android or iOS platform. On Android, the iOS will basically, it's not supported till now. If you are working on Android machine, the iOS automation or iOS simulator, etc., is not supported as yet. You have to have a Mac machine in order to run iOS as well as Android automation cases. On if you're working on Windows machine, you will be able to work on only Android emulators. Maybe in future they can add support on Windows machine as well, but right now you have to have a Mac machine if you want to run both Android as well as iOS machine. So you just download Appium, you download these libraries, you create a project. Let me just show you how you can do that. In Eclipse, you just go create a new Java project. Although it would be test project if you have working on JUnit or TestNG. But in case, for example, I have only created a Java project. Let me just connect my charger, otherwise my machine will be switched off. Okay, so let me just show you what are the things that you need. So say it's is equal to. So once you finish it, you will get the Appium demo inside the SRC. Just create a new package. So say the new package is com.appium.test. The package is created. Inside the package, you just create a new class. The class will be test, say demo test, the class, and say I need to fix a with you. So I will need this. So it will automatically create the class for me. Regarding the libraries, I already have the system library, but one of you guys has asked me what other libraries are needed. The required library. So you can see it's a Java client and then Selenium. So all the things which are included in this, we just copy paste over here or drag and drop. Sorry, for that, just let me create a libs folder over here. And inside the library folder or libs folder, I will just copy paste all the things. So now I have copied all the libraries. And the Java client which we have downloaded. Now everything is. So these are the libraries, and this is the way how you create the test class and everything. And once you create all the libraries, you just once you include all the libraries, you just go and include these libraries to build a path. So now I have added all these libraries to build path. So there is another hierarchy is created that is reference library, and whatever I have included the libraries over here, it's now included in my project. Now I'm ready to go with Appium. So similarly, the desired capabilities and everything, whatever we were using this in this particular testing demo. Say someone listening that something. Thank you. So guys, if you have any queries or anything, just drop me a mail. I believe some of you might not have cleared anything. We had some interruptions as well, but I tried to clear as much and go as fast as I can as it was possible. In 1.5 hour time, it's really so tough to cover all these things. So it was just to get you the knowledge about what you can do with Appium. Fine. It's not about letting you know everything. You cannot do everything in the span of 1.5 hour. But yes, you can get feel of how it works. What are the things that you need? How you can go ahead, and what are the opportunities which are available. And believe me, if you know Appium, I mean mobile automation, at least 50% you are getting in the next company. It's a guarantee. Because right now, see, I'm not I will send you the email ID to everyone. This is my email ID. I'm not a full-time, instructor. I'm working in a company. Basically, I have worked in some MNCs plus some startup plus some product based. So if I'm saying that it's a guarantee, yes, it's a guarantee. It's not from an institution, but it's from my personal opinion and personal experience. That once you know, as it's a the mobile testing field is very, you can say there is a very scarcity of knowledgeable person who know mobile automation as well. And if you know it, it's you can just fly. Your career will just fly. Okay, anything else, guys, regarding this Appium and anything? I've shared my email ID. Plus, you can have, if you have any query. Yeah, so Achla, I'm having 5 years of experience. So I will not take the company's name, but yeah, I've worked in. Yeah, sure, you all can add me in LinkedIn. So I'm having 5 year experience in mobile testing, and I started working as a mobile tester only, and I have been into this field only as a mobile manual as well as automation testing. So not much experience on web, but yeah, all of the 5 years I have been into mobile platform only. Yeah, you have my email ID. You can just search it on LinkedIn, I believe so, or you can drop me a mail. I will search you and add you. Okay, guys. Any issue? I mean, any questions regarding this Appium? Anything? So, this was the very short demo, and it might not have cleared all your expectations and all your queries, but yes, once you start executing these things, or once you start learning things, it will be get more easier for you. I mean, go forward with Selenium. Fine, guys. Thanks. If no one has any more questions, so we can stop this webinar. Thanks everyone for giving your time. Have a nice Sunday.
Thank you. Osai, mute off this cover.